So yeah, just to quickly touch on that. And actually, also, there were just a couple of results I wanted to mention before we jump into Game 2. Q Squad did actually get a forfeit win over Call It Karma, so they're moving on to the second round. Again, unfortunate to see a forfeit win, but nonetheless, Q Squad moving on. Lion Esports Club actually took out Afraid 2-0, so they're already moving on. You had Stay Green actually defeating Q Squad 777 2-0, and then TDM actually already beat Pikachu 2-0. So Q Squad, TDM, Lion, and Stay Green. A lot of favorites there already moving on here in the first round. So, again, kind of some updates there for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. There's still the 007 versus Absolute Legend games to be played later, right?
That got rescheduled until later tonight, I believe. Those are both American teams,
yeah.
and so they're going to be playing later on, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looking forward to that. I believe Beef might actually even be casting that, so I don't know exactly, though. Anyways, we got our Game 2 night here, and actually it has started, so we got to jump right into it. We got TteS Esports taking on Pencils here, game number 2. Let's take a look. TteS Esports is going to be on the Legion side here, and Pencils, of course, on the Hellborn side, so switching things up as always. Yeah, again, it just simply for me, it's a case of Pencils. That just didn't seem like they're a game, not making some great decisions. It seemed like we'll see how things kind of calm down here in game number 2 now against them. So the blind band's coming out. Ophelia Fade from TteS Esports, Wild Soul Parasite from Pencils here. So nothing too crazy about that.
Nope. Keeper of the Forest locked, though. No Wild Soul in response to Ophelia. You'll see the Tempest, of course, coming out, and then you'll see the Tempest counters the Pharaoh. It'll be interesting to see whether Andromeda, Pharaoh, such heroes make it into this game. So
yeah, that's actually what the Keeper of the Forest. He was actually banned in the first game by both teams, from what I remember, in the blind banning stage. So this time left open, and sure enough, first locked. There's Demented Shaman actually coming out as far as a lock here from White Talaba. So perhaps looking at him, and actually Riftwalker. Now, we talked a little bit about Riftwalker and how that was actually the final lock from TteS Esports last game. So maybe there is something to that coming out from White Talaba here.
Yeah, I just don't feel like they can pick him up out of the lock pool. You know, if it was just a hero pickup that came normally, I'd maybe okay, but I just don't see them picking him up. They're going to be looking at, they're going to be picking up the Keeper first pick here in all likelihood. We'll have to see what happens. It's kind of an interesting lock pull there with the Pharaoh TteS, Riftwalker, Flux in the end.
That is
You're probably going to see the Pharaoh and the TteS, but you might see something a little more unconventional.
So. Well, speaking of the final lock there with the Flux, we actually saw this. I forget exactly what match it was, but we did see a Demented Shaman Flux lane. And it proved to honestly be pretty powerful. You have Flux pull them in, and then the healing wave from Demented Shaman, it seemed like it was pretty good synergy. And Flux is actually just a pretty good hero in his own right, let's be honest. So
yeah.
Again, I don't know if that is a trollish or actually a lock we could possibly see here. But you're right. I mean, you especially got the Keeper, then even a Tempest Pharaoh. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It ultimately is a really curious lock pool, though, so...
TteS is also kind of versatile because I haven't really seen him much lately, but he's been run as a solo quite a lot over the years of Han.
Yeah, he's definitely had his place.
They could still draft another support hero and still pick him up. I'm curious to see. I don't think either team will really leave their support pick into this lock pool, but we'll see.
God, speaking of kind of heroes that have that stigma of being a support but have played solo roles fairly well too, kind of like a Demented Shaman, Witch Slayer, man. Witch Slayer is just, we don't see him anymore now on the competitive scene. He had his place in both support and that solo role, but we have not seen him in so long.
And that's just, you saw the dual mids really take over, and you haven't really seen him used as a side lane or a man up kind of thing. So he just sort of tapered off there. And Polywog as well. They both sort of went out of style together.
Yeah, that was the other one that I kind of had in my head too. So. Look at that. Moon Queen first picked up here from TteS Esports, but how about that response? Magnus Chipper. So Pencil's maybe going to try their own take at this one-trick pony strategy, perhaps, of running the Chipper. They don't have Xibe, though, but we'll see how they run it here. Did you get to see Xibe playing Chipper in those games?
Oh, I did. I got to watch all those games for sure, and I actually saw... What team was it? There was another team, I think Doberon, Dam, Bermuda, one of those guys was running Chipper as well before. But yeah, they're just looking to close out the game, really. I thought that the strategy was awesome. They really basically just never gave him room to breathe. They sort of grouped up as 5 a lot sooner and made it so that the enemy team needed to group up in order to fight them, and then they had items like Hellflower from the early aggression they could deal with the carry with, and they just sort of took the game that way.
Yeah, we actually got to talk to Storyfooter about that from One Trick Pony on our podcast on Friday. He basically said what you were talking about, how the chipper specifically, it kind of promoted the gameplay of, we're going to kind of group up and we're going to use this map control that we have with abilities like the rockets and whatnot to kind of collapse on top of you and burst down your carry and then go from there. And obviously for OTP and the run that they had, at least in the initial weekend, it worked out wonders for them. So the potential is definitely there.
Yeah.
I will say it seemed like they synergized it with a Fade or a Pharaoh or something like that.
Yeah, I would say Pharaoh is going to be a very important pick for them coming out of this lock pool. They'll pretty much have a guaranteed shot at it. There's no way they're going to...
You know what? Enough about Chipper, though. Holy crap, we have a Bramble over here. A Luna Bramble picked up by TT Esports. And what makes this even more amusing is that Zepro, again, I call him Zepro, Sweet Pro here, he's known for loving the Bramble, and he actually had a response there out of TT. But TT Esports going Bramble. Is this, anything about this hero, Emperor?
Well, I know a lot about that hero. Excellent turnaround potential. I mean, if you're able to get that... what is that ability's name anyway? The shrubbery off on your teammate as they jump him, mitigate a lot of that damage. He survives, and you lay down that wall for the turnaround. It can be devastating. That vine wall does actually a surprising amount of damage. And when they're sort of going with this early mid game dominant strat, having a hero like Bramble might sort of work in their favor. If they try to go all in on that Moon Queen, kill him, Hellflower, and they're not able to do it, they're going to be in a world of hurt as the response comes out. So. I actually really like the Bramble against this sort of mid-game strategy.
Yeah, and you said it, again, I've only played this hero a couple times. Both of them happen to be in mid-wars, but I do like mid-wars for that reason. It definitely helps you get an idea of, if you are lost at a certain hero to kind of understand them a little bit better. But anyways, that Ensnaring Shrubbery, as it's called, the W, as you were talking about, I mean, that's actually a pretty cool ability. The fact that it not only heals around, but it also slows enemies that attack him. And then he got his passive with that combat figure, speeding everyone around you. He is a really interesting hero, and it kind of unique in that sense, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how TT Esports can actually use him here and seeing what he brings to the table. As Demented Shaman is the final pick, by the way.
They're really going for the defensive route there, and that's really like sort of an anti-AoE spell as well, and that it heals in an area around you, so all the AoE damage coming at you, you're going to be mitigating essentially a percentage of it.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Riftwalker with the final pick, not going to lie. And honestly, they do have a Tempest over here, and that kind of goes back to that logic of he's pretty good against him no matter what. But they do go Demented Shaman, so again, kind of keeping that defensive-minded focus here, you could safely say. Although Demented Shaman is going to be played by Enzo, so actually... how are they going to lane this, by the way? Cheese Helmet, as we didn't even talk about this, actually. Apparently Jepkins is having a problem.
Jepkins is keeper, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and the game's getting remade.
And just like that.
Well, they're not going to be running their... Okay, so TteS played by Ensel. It's kind of... Why are they remaking? Did they...
Well, they remade because apparently Jepkins was actually having trouble reconnecting. Okay.
So their total lineup, it's Bramble, Aluna, Keeper, Moon Queen, and...
TteS. Demented Shaman.
Yeah, that really does look like a Keeper Suicide and TteS Aluna support.
Yeah. Oh. Well, no, because I was actually thinking, so the other thing to bring up that I don't even know if we talked about, but, obviously Cheese Helmet was back here in this game. Of course, Sender was playing for them for the first game, but Cheese Helmet is now playing for TT Esports once again here in game number 2. So he was actually on the Moon Queen in that first game right there. So once I'm able to reconnect into the game myself, then might have to relog and whatnot. Some of the players.
Still not back in it though.
Yeah, after the remake, it happens. It sometimes takes a little bit.
Sometimes takes a little bit of time. I'm in off of Pablo. All pencils is in the lobby, so
there we go.
TT Sports just needs to rejoin now.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, so Cheese Helmet, he kind of has been stepped up as their new carry player. We were talking about that a little bit in game number 1. But yeah, so Enzo on the DS again. Visual person. Well, I want to actually see the lineup again and maybe get a better idea.
Yeah, it'll definitely help, sort of. Yeah, but no, I honestly think Enzo's playing support on DS's game. There's no other way I can see that working, because they have a Bramble, they have a Moon Queen, and they have the Keeper.
Yeah.
It sort of takes over all of the lanes.
Yeah. Right.
They could always like, split farm, I guess. But yeah, no, that's pretty much how it's going to be, I think. Hellborn though, what was their finish? Did they grab the Pharaoh Tempest, right?
They went Pharaoh Tempest to finish. Yeah. They
Yeah,
had
yeah, and the Pharaoh, we saw that with the Chipper and the Mag. I really like how their lineup sort of fits together in the end.
hmm
They're really pushing with that mid game theme. Tempest is a perfect hero to go along with that. Yeah, they just have to be careful not to, go in for a kill that they wind up getting denied.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we are loading back into the second game, though. They are all good to go again. It actually is a Han Tour lobby for those that caught on what we're talking about there. So they are using the whole Han Tour system to have these matches created. It is a very useful, just automatic system, of course. So using it for this event as well. But we are back in game number 2 here. So jumping back in now, of course, with this lockpick mode. As a result of using the Han Tour lobby, we'll have to kind of go through here and hope that neither team messes up. So kind of cross our fingers with that. But just make sure you only lock 2 heroes for either side, and don't ban a hero that eventually gets picked up is the important thing to remember too. That's right. So they got Magnus. That was another. I think they had a Luna as well, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Luna, Magnus, Tempest,
Yeah,
Pharaoh.
Luna, Tempest,
Was
Pharaoh,
it?
and Chipper.
Chipper. How can we forget
Chipper.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's an aggressive team over there, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and as we talked about, they have the Pharaoh. Another thing about Pharaoh that's really nice when you're playing the more aggressive and map control lineup is the ability of those rockets, once again, to deny creep spawns, deny ancient spawns. If you're trying to keep them on their heels, deny as much of their farm as possible, they already have to be afraid of you. Being able to take away their ancients is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Especially when they're looking for a Moon Queen to be their sort of saving grace in the late game.
Yeah, and that goes back to that again, that kind of that map control here. With heroes. Yeah, I love the Bramble.
That Bramble song, man.
That's good. Okay, so Luna was on TteS Sports, that's right, and then Torture was the support over here for Pencils.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, you get Keeper and then Dimension Shaman over here. I don't know. Well, see, now what I'm thinking, are we going to see a Keeper jungle here? Have a DS maybe? No, you can't do that, because then who do you see?
I don't think so. Yeah, maybe, but
a DS.
no, I don't. I don't think so. As far oh wait, no, you know what? They're switching up.
No,
no,
okay.
they're not. Okay, so
Gotcha.
yeah, no, I'm
Not sure.
pretty sure you're gonna see Enso on support, man. Like that,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, it's gotta be. It's
Yeah,
gotta be.
you're right, and that makes sense. I mean, your Keeper Suicide, so what? Something like the DS Bramble mid, and then a Luna Moon Queen bottom.
Not that
Most likely.
Jumpins isn't, capable of playing Keeper in the Forest. It's just it seems to make a little more sense with their lineup.
Of course,
Pharaoh rocking those boots first, rushing down there to get the ward off.
Yep.
And really a quick response by TteS, so they're not really going to try to prevent that.
As far as how Pencils is going to lane, actually, also kind of interesting here. It seems like, as you mentioned, the Pharaoh already going down for the ward, so definitely going to be on that suicide roll. Tempest just going to deny a creep for him, apparently, but will eventually make it to his jungle, I'm sure. Chipper middle, and that probably means Torturer Mag top. Talk about an old school lane, man. Torturer Mag going to be coming out here for Pencils, perhaps. I mean, although Torturer is currently setting up in the middle kind of area currently. But I find it hard to believe. I don't know. Maybe he will actually go mid, especially as a result of the Legion lanes here.
Yeah, I mean, both heroes can fare decently. Mag can do decent against the Keeper. He's got that volcanic touch if he chooses a lane, or if they dual lane up against him, they can really deny him a lot of the lane positioning. But I'm not. What did you notice?
Well, the bottom lane. So it looks like TteS Sports going very defensive minded, just going the defensive tri lane down here even.
Yeah.
It looks like so, and I kind of wonder how teams are going to adjust, so whether that's TteS Sports or Pencils adjust to this as a result of this laning phase. So that is going to be interesting.
Maybe they're just looking to try to catch him off guard and get a kill here at the start. But they don't have the best heroes for it. Moon Queen has that long-range Moonbeam and a lot of chase room, but they really don't have the best heroes for this.
The 1 second on the Moonbeam, the 1 second stun that is pretty powerful for setting up ganks. I mean, we've seen that.
Oh yeah, but Luna's got to get her power throw for the nuke damage, and then DS really doesn't do much of anything.
DS, well, he just kind of sits there.
Well, the heal bomb can do a lot, but I mean, you're not going to be
All right, so Torture is gonna start out mid, and that's gonna really box out this Bramble. So yeah, I find it hard to believe that TteS Sports is gonna stick with this. Yeah, in fact, right away, Demented Shaman already heading middle, and that means it will end up being the Illuna Moon Queen bottom, DS Bramble mid, against what is a chipper Torture lane actually here in the middle lane. So now that Demented Shaman is gonna rotate here, do you still think Pencil should have a pretty good time here in the middle lane?
I mean, they can keep their positioning back against Bramble. They'll be just fine. They have some pretty strong harass coming out from Tort and Chipper. Yeah, if they're able to keep their positioning, it should be fine. I don't really see it as being too much of an issue.
Yeah. So Bramble, again, is fairly tanky, and especially with that W, if he chooses to get that early. In fact, I'm kind of curious. Okay, so he does get the Shrubbery at level 2, as well as, of course, the Spore Breath at level 1 right there.
They will not be netting any kills against the DS Bramble lane, though, not without outside support.
Yeah. That's true, especially with that Shaman there to heal. So, bottom lane, Illuna boxing out Pharaoh very well. Of course, setting up free farm for Moon Queen in the end. Now, the pole camp is blocked, but again, are we going to maybe see a Revelation to try to counter that? Or what is your take on that? I mean, do you think you really should look to use the resource of the Revelation early on to get that Ward of Sight taken care of?
When you're running 2 dual lanes, it can definitely help increase the amount of resources you're pulling in as a team and denying the enemy team, so it's never bad. You see he's setting up stacks here, but he might just choose to be more active on the map instead. I would like to see it, but usually a lot of the problem is, right now you can only buy that blue ward at the 1 minute 30 mark. By the time you get it down and counter the ward, a lot of times you miss that 2 minute spawn.
Yeah.
So you don't get to pull until 3 minutes then, and then, it does still take a while.
True, very true. Now, at the top lane here, this is actually really interesting. I know that you kind of touched on it, but Magnus is going to touch the Volcanic Touch here. He actually is level 2 of it already, being level 3 himself. So he is. We never really see this on Magnus, but again, this is kind of one of those matchups where you think it makes sense that we are seeing this here on Pablo or Sweet Pro, excuse me.
Yeah, definitely a situational adjustment to his lane. It's kind of like a free nuke every last hit he gets, and it'll really allow him to sort of snowball farm against this keeper.
Oh, and you see right there, in fact, there's even more damage coming out. It puts a stun out there, and actually Jeppins will be forced to invis. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that Volcanic Touch, not an ability you can scoff at, especially in that laning phase, especially against another melee hero, really, who's usually, will be nearby at times to take that brunt of that damage as well as everything else. So anyways, middle lane, we do have a little bit of action. No, I guess those are just illusions there. Never mind. And back to farming we go. But so far, speaking of that top lane, the creep farm goes 17-1 Magnus compared to a 13-1 keeper. So despite the harassment and whatnot, it seems like Jeppins is still having a good time up there when it comes to the suicide keeper role. So,
but take a look at middle. Look at what the Chipper Tort lane is doing and how well they're faring against this Bramble. And part of it's they had the dual lane for a wave and a half.
Yeah.
Before the dual lane came out for Bramble. But still, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job here, and they have the Tempest factor.
Yeah. That's always, and it's already showing in the experience especially. I mean, you're looking at already about a 1,200 experience lead here in favor, of course, of Pencils here on the Hellborn side. So, yeah, the Chipper, the start that he's getting here, going to be played by Relo, of course. Get him that early start in farm, and we'll see how he's able to take advantage of that. What's up?
Do you see the Pharaoh there? He actually walked over. White did a very excellent job there. He countered the ward, and then I was in a comment before. I said you can't really... you counter it by 3 minutes and you stack it, it's going to be 4 minutes. One tactic that people do a lot is, cutting down those trees, and after the neutral camp dies, dragging the medium camp above it. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I was watching that the whole time. I didn't think it was going to be a kill, but Pablo McDad snipes out Enzo at the last second. He thought he was going to survive, as I did, and gets him with that Tormented Soul. So speaking of Pharaoh, now that was obviously Chipper and Torture initiating in the first place. It was actually a pretty good response from Enzo. He played that pretty well. He has the Unbreakable on top of the healing wave, got the Unbreakable heal off and everything. But again, it's just the Tormented Soul at the last second sniping him out and actually getting the Bloodlust kill for Pablo McDad playing that Pharaoh. I'm sure that's kind of the last thing he expected there. But he got it, so well played.
Yeah, and looking back now, we were talking about on that Illuna, she dragged the creep wave, pulled it like normal. It's only a single stack, but what she's going to do is, chain pull the medium camp right above it. So it's sort of like it's stacked, but not. As long as he gets the timing right. Those trees did break, but he should be fine.
Yeah. So you're talking about this right here. Is it? Yeah, he's going to power through it.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got it.
There you go. Yeah, aggro it and get that lane control back for the Moon Queen. Speaking of Cheese Helmet on Moon Queen, how is he doing? 29-9 and counting. Of course, Farrell actually Farrell 13-1. I mean, he's actually managed some decent creep farm, honestly.
Yeah.
Of course, going the Tormented Soul, maxing that out, and that makes sense not only for assisting the other lane as we saw, but even to assist them with some creep kills. So, Pablo McDad, he too is not having the worst time here in the suicide lane, just like that Keeper of the Forest. But you still look at the Tempest factor. Actually, Bramble getting a little bit aggressive here. He's in some trouble. Speaking of Tempest coming in, is he going to ultimate? Yes, he is. Pulls back in Moravis. The heal comes out from the Arcane Shield, I believe, but it just doesn't matter. And down he goes. So yeah, Tempest didn't want to have to ulti, but was kind of forced to at the last second. Nonetheless, got the kill. And 2-0 lead now in favor of Pencils here.
Yeah, dominant victory for the middle lane. Shipper sitting at almost twice the GPM of Bramble. The Magnus Keeper matchup top. Magnus actually opted to skip his ulti, knowing he won't really be able to get it off against his Keeper, and just go, ooh.
Yeah. I just got the tail end of that. It looks like the Moon Finale was used, and then the Moonbeam to finish off Pharaoh. He was actually in kind of an odd position, honestly, as he was behind the Moon Queen Aluna, so I'm not even sure how he ended up getting there, but somehow got there, and, well, we saw the end result. So, yeah, Cheese Helmet's farm actually expanding as a result of that, so good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you were making a point there. It's actual top lane. Hold that thought. Second Torturer coming in with a flank. Now, this is a Keeper of the Forest, but we already see something. The Eruption being channeled. There's that chain reactions. Great timing coming out for Pencils. The Tormented Soul on top, and Bassets will get credit for the kill. Pretty good execution coming up for Pencils right there, actually.
Yeah, great execution. I was going to say, Magnus' skill build was a total example of, like, adaptive to his laning. He opted not to get his ulti at level 6, instead getting, level 3 of his stun and his Volcanic Touch instead, just because he knew he wasn't going to get the ulti off. There were no ganks coming to him at the time, so he just wanted to put out more lane harass with, both those spells being leveled up. As he hit level 7, Torture was coming for a gank, and then he chose to level up his ulti, knowing that Tort would be there for the combo stun. So, yeah, just a little bit of a different skill build there, but it worked out for him.
It is. It really is. I mean, the no steam bath yet, but you're so right that, being willing to adapt for the best of the situation, and that's exactly what Sweet Pro has done here. Pharaoh at the bottom lane in the meantime, once again in a lot of trouble. He's trying to do some ring around the Rosie, but Moon Queen ain't having any of that. A couple more auto attacks, and down goes Pablo McDad. So Cheese Helmet's farm continuing to increase, now up to 365 gold per minute. He is basically really up there as the tops in the game. And, again, working off another kill right there. Top in the meantime, Magnus stunning it out. We're going to see enough follow-up. Tampa's coming in. The chain reactions will connect. Can he go in this time? The dust coming out, so it won't matter. Impalement's activated. They're diving into the jungle, and Bassets will get credit for the kill right there. So Jeppin's trying to play a little bit creative right there, running in the jungle. Not enough, though. So Jeppin's had a good start, remember, as a Suicide Keeper, but now with the 2 deaths really slowing down. But on top of that, Pencil's not going to push his top tower. But again, you look at Pencil's lineup from the beginning, this is all about aggression for them, and they are performing it pretty well.
Yeah, I would like to see the Pharaoh play a little bit more careful bottom lane in general now, because as we talked about, like right now, Pencils is really just taking over the game, applying a lot of pressure. The one thing that TteS has going for them is this farmed up Moon Queen. Granted, if they have enough farm on their early mid-game heroes,
Actually, yeah, Chipper catching Demented Shaman right there, but that great heal support. Bramble with the shrubbery as well, and Bramble going to fall as a result of that, as he was there to assist Demented Shaman. So Chipper with the initiation. It ends up working, as they do get even the better kill right there on a Moravis, and now they're going to continue to push. So yeah, I mean, the momentum here is really stepping up for Pencils. But again, looking at the lineup and everything, it's exactly what they needed. It makes sense, and they are continuing to play very well. So you talked about Farrell, making sure that he doesn't continue to maybe die, because if anything, keeping Moon Queen from getting too out of hand yourself. And honestly, yeah. Pencils is putting themselves in a very good spot now.
Yeah, and she's low, and they're actually already shaping up for another kill on him here. Very ballsy move coming up. I mean, that was a really ballsy move, I think, coming out of Moon Queen there. Approaching the Pharaoh, who has level 3 rocket, had her ulti up. I mean, she only had a third of her health. Maybe she was trying to bait it to get her ulti off, but, Pablo's no inexperienced player. He's not going to take it unless he knows he can get the kill, so I thought that was a little bit risky by...
Well, I was actually watching the middle action, which we even had a couple more kills happen. So, obviously, the aggression just really continuing all over the place. But again, getting the kill on a Moon Queen, nonetheless, very good news, more so for Pencils. There was a decent response here in the middle lane, though, coming out from TteS Sports at least. And, Bramble actually using his ultimate even, and so we got to at least see that come out and just set up a counter kill. But overall, Pencils, 7-3 hero kill advantage. Look at Magnus's farm all of a sudden, too, after all of that. 433 gold per minute.
Yeah, I'm looking at Moon Queen's items right now, and I don't like it. If you're going to go straight for Geos, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they have so much magic burst on the team. Maybe he's afraid of a Hellflower, but Hellflower is going to cancel his Geos anyway. If you're going to go for that build, I think you need a build-up item on Moon Queen, or else the hero just steals.
Oh, what timing from Bassett's right there. Chipper was for sure dead, it seemed like. The rocket, what a rocket snipe from Chipper as well. As Demented Shaman will fall. Luna's being chased. Magnus doesn't have enough mana for another Lava Surge just yet. He will have enough in about a 5 mana, but Pharaoh doesn't care. He's going to go in, and that will guarantee that kill. Man, Pencils is just playing balls to the wall here, and I must say, it's also some pretty damn impressive play. I mean, from the Chipper rocket to the initial save from Torture, and then the finishing off there, very well played.
Yeah, yeah, they're doing exactly what they need to do. And the thing is, this TteS lineup is all about trying to be reactive. They can't exactly go and take plays themselves. They have a very passive lineup, a very responsive lineup. So,
yeah.
I mean, really, Pencils is finding those openings and pressing them hard.
Well, this goes so I want to address this though. What you're talking about with the quick play purchase on Cheese Helmet. So you're thinking that shortcut head first, it sounds like, would make more sense.
Yeah, kind of. They have a really magic damage heavy team. If he's worried about the the Hellflower maybe coming in and canceling his Shrunken before you even get it off, I mean, it sort of applies to Geos too. I really don't know about that pickup. I would have rather seen, I always like to see a build-up item on Moon Queen, because I think she is so strong with just a basic core. And I like to see either the Steam Boots Energizer or the Steam Boots plus the Whispering Helm.
Yeah.
I really just don't like the straight into Firebrand route. The build-up does not feel effective enough, and I mean, it's still fine. Moon Queen's still Moon Queen in the end, but
true. It is still Moon Queen.
If you can't get your spells off, it won't matter.
Well, see, that's my problem with it too. It's a case of, again, really what this is saying is that I'm gonna try to just continue to farm. Try to go this route of trying to enhance my farm the quickest, right away. And sure, a Firebrand can most certainly do that, especially for a Moon Queen. But with the activity of this game, the way it's just really stepped up a notch here by Pencils, I mean, exactly. You can only do so much if you ain't staying alive. So sure, it's a very passive team, and maybe their idea is that they're just gonna have Demented Shaman and Luna just sit here on Moon Queen and really just babysit the hell out of her, but. If Pencils keeps up this rate once again, then you got to figure this game is just going to be over sooner than Moon Queen is ready for. So I do want to touch on a couple more item pickups, as we are getting some very interesting ones, actually, more so on the Hellborn side. Look at Magnus. He actually invested into a Helm of the Black Legion here with his early on farm. What do you take on that, Emperor?
I've seen it before. I've definitely seen it more of a Dota flavored build instead, where people pick that up. I think if he's just planning on playing aggressive, it's not that bad of a pickup. It's going to be very difficult for them to kill him. If they do want to kill him in a team fight, they're going to have to put out a lot of damage, and they're not exactly high on damage here on the Legion team. They sort of have a defensive, defensive responsive team, and until Moon Queen gets her farm, she's not going to be putting out insane damage either. So it's like Helm, he's just trying to last as long as he can. I would like to see Vestments if he picked up Helm, just to be that really, really tanky force. But yeah, I think it's fine. He wants to be that front man for his team.
Yeah, and so why the hell not? So definitely a good investment there. You can argue, well, not argue, but you can assume that a portal key is definitely still in the works here for Magnus and on his mind. So 1,500 gold saved up. There is a keeping the force on the board of the bottom lane, because there is some action down here. We already see the kill on the Bramble actually taking place. Torture barely surviving, not going to be enough though. He will fall. Keeping the force. Will he root right here? He does have a, not choosing to use it though on a Tempest. Good to go for Pharaoh instead. Pharaoh though trying to return. Tempest running in now. Tempest is out of the portal key, by the way. Chipper joining the party. He still has his Solid Blade showdown. There we go. Down goes Pharaoh, but Moon Queen taking the damage. She will end up falling herself though, and now keeping the force. He's taking some damage as well, but he will survive. The Tempest ultimate was used right there. On top of that, the Region Rune going to be activated from Chipper actually, and he's going to run right into Tempest. Tempest running in, doesn't have a stun for 4 seconds, clearing out the trees, but it looks like he'll be fine. But anyways, the bottom tower going down, such as some more action. Magnus pushing the top lane while that all happens, and he will also get a tower kill. I mean, look at the gold advantage all of a sudden. 14.5 thousand gold lead already in favor of Pencils.
You just saw he picked up his portal key now, as you were saying, so. Yeah, Magnus he had a TP up that entire fight, by the way.
Yeah.
And normally you see the Mag TP just for insurance in case maybe, Legion got a really good angle off, managed to pick off some heroes, whatever, but he didn't even need to TP for that fight. They were confident enough that even without the Mag, they would just roll over it, so, and roll over it they did.
Man, Pencil, talk about just a complete change of momentum in games. I mean, game one, Pencil slow start, but game two, completely different. This is just the balls to the walls team, as I call it, and we're definitely seeing that here.
Yeah, I felt like their lineup game one was all right, but it was kind of passive and it fit together awkwardly because I felt like they needed to do something against Hellborn, but once again they were really like sort of single target, really relying on Kronos and Hag together. So it was just sort of hard for them to get the fights they needed. This lineup though, look how just aggressive it is, pure aggression.
Yeah, that's definitely the name of the game here for Pencils, and on top of that, again, they're just playing it so well. I mean, Sweet Pro's going to go down here. They are going to take out Moon Queen once again. Give it the force running. The Bramble Find Wall coming out, and that will set up a kill to Magnus, it looks like. So finally, they get the kill onto him and stopping his streak of, well, I guess it was only one kill, actually. He is 1-1-6 now. But anyways, they kill Magnus, but the damage was still done. I mean, honestly, that's an exchange that Pencils can be fine with at this point. Magnus for that Moon Queen. And as we're only now 16 minutes into the game, so no doubt a good response from TteS Sports. But yeah, just keeping the pressure up is Pencils. And on top of that, we talked about the porta key on Magnus. There's also now a porta key on Chipper, already with another 1,100 gold saved up. And then you also have Farrell with 2,100 gold saved up. So a lot of gold being saved up and used here on the side of Pencils, of course.
Yeah, and once again, as long as they keep picking off this Moon Queen, I feel like they honestly need to be having like a 500 GPM Moon Queen to even have a chance at turning these fights. And right now, they're just not able to put it together. And by the time Moon Queen gets her farm in, you'll be seeing Hellflowers coming out. You'll be seeing you'll be seeing a shrunken head on Tempest. If he catches the Keeper in it, there's nothing that can interrupt him. It's just...
Glowstone picked up on Shipper. This is one of the few heroes, not at least in the competitive scene, that you can say even the Staff of the Master is even part of his core build. Honestly, it is very powerful. No rocket snipes, just missing a Luna right there. That probably would have been a kill if he's able to connect those. But a Luna sidesteps and actually gets some heal support from Demented Shaman. But yeah, the Glowstone pickup, so it can kind of. Again, it's actually is a pretty good just raw item in itself, but Staff of the Master, very good on Chipper as it enhances it, especially with the slow effect is the big thing. So, ooh, they're going to give it the force right here. Revelation is down. That's not even theirs, actually, but they can't see him. In comes Farrell, the Saw Blade Showdown coming out, and down goes Keeper of the Forest. So, well, I mean, what else is there to say? Pencil's just keeping up the pace. They're just keeping the picks coming. Exactly what they need to do, and as you said, you really need like a 500+ GPM Moon Queen at this point to seem like you have a chance, but that ain't happening. I mean, it's still solid, but not up there.
Almost every hero on that team, you have the Torturer farming 230. That's your lowest farming hero on that team.
Yeah.
230 GPM Tor. You're doing well when that happens. Pharaoh at 314, almost succeeding the Moon Queen. Then everyone else is way up there, man. So.
Here comes Bramble. A lot of mass TPs coming in, but Magnus stuns Bramble. They're all on the run. Are we going to see a Bramble wall? Perhaps we are, and actually that will set up a kill to Torture. But Torture is your support hero, and ultimately was a pretty good getaway. But again, a very important thing to note there is that a lot of resources were used by TteS Sports to everyone port down there to set up those ganks. So the one kill coming out. Now Tempest will kind of have free reign to just continue to push up this top lane now as a result of that. And again, not the biggest deal in the world for Pencils that happened. So just really continuing trying to buy time for the Moon Queen. She's now in the jungle. With that Mighty Blade, you can safely assume a Shrunken Head is on the way. And at this rate, I mean, honestly, you talk about Hellflower possibilities, but no one's actually building Hellflowers right now on the Hellborn side. So.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need it, per se. I'm just saying, like, in the late game, if she does become a problem, that's always an option.
Yeah.
Another item pickup that's really good against this team, and I don't think you'll see anyone pick it up, a Nullfire Blade actually purges off the DS Cape, which he chose to max out. It purges off Ensnaring Shrubbery from the Bramble. Pretty much that entire defensive wall they can put up gets countered by it, so... And it's kind of awkward having this Moon Queen here. Yeah, they have DS and Bramble to try to turn things around, but if Hellborn initiates...
It should. Well, see, this is the. Well, go ahead.
I don't know. I was saying this is insane. Yeah, there's no room he has, man. That's...
Well, so there's that they have to deal with. But then I will say, the more I am looking at this Legion team, I mean, again, you addressed it really from the beginning. This is a very defensive team, man. I mean, not only Demented Shaman, but Keeper of the Forest, of course. But then this Bramble. This is a very defensive-minded hero, especially with that Shrubbery being his W ability. And I will say, again. Having that, I think, right now is really the only thing for TteS Sports that it's like a case of maybe this game isn't actually over yet. And, they can get those saves out. But at the same time, I mean, the burst damage is just so quick here from Pencils, as we're constantly seeing, especially with that Chipper and whatnot. And it's, will you have the time to even react with these abilities?
Well,
to come
exactly.
out.
They
So.
need to get in range of it. If they're getting in range, then that's like potentially putting them in danger of, Tempest, Black Hole. And the thing is, Moon Queen, she still has a pretty low max HP pool. Even she's finishing up Shrunken here. She's still going to be, sitting at 1300 with her Strength Boots activated. She's not a hero that you can have sitting up front, pressuring the tower, and then when they go on, she can survive long enough for those DS heals and the Bramble Protective Shrubbery to come out. I mean, I feel like she'll just get bursted down before they can even, as you said, sort of apply that response. So.
Jetpins does time out. Trop actually brought this up about Jetpins. He made the point that it seems like Jetpins does time out quite a bit.
Yeah.
As a player. Yeah, I mean, you did play with Jetpins actually.
Yeah, he frequently had to reinstall his Han client or repair it in the middle of matches and try to get. Yeah,
That's
not
fun.
sure what's going on there, but
well, he's
had
back.
some issues. Yeah.
He's back right away. So just a quick pause there, and we should be good to go.
I will say that this nature of a lineup doesn't really seem to fit TteS as much as the style I've seen them like to play lately. More aggressive, mid-game paced, a lot of Hammer Storm plus Hag lineups.
Gravekeepers.
Gravekeepers. Just heroes that can really sort of take over and play aggressive early on seems to be their flavor these days. And this one just...
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, I see where you're coming from for sure. I mean, again, they could simply put this is a defensive, very defensive-minded lineup.
Yeah, and it just doesn't seem to be totally cohesive as a defensive lineup. It's kind of just mashed together. It feels like.
Well, and I think that kind of starts with Bramble too. I always hate saying that though because we sit I sit here a lot, and so I hate sounding like a hypocrite in that sense of you always love to see new heroes and these new lineups and everything and strategy. So I find it difficult to sit here and say was that ultimately the best pick because it is fun seeing new heroes like this. But I mean there are reasons at the same time why. I mean there are heroes out there that Rowley for example. It seems like people have really started to find his power and realize that he actually is a great hero, and we have started to see him more and more. But there are other heroes out there that just haven't really been able to find their niche even, and you kind of wonder if Bramble is ultimately one of those heroes. But not to say that it is just a Bramble pick by any means either. I mean, I want to be clear on that. But yeah. But in the end, Pencils, for now, they actually are going to try to get Kongor here, and I think it's safe to assume that they're easily going to be able to do it. TteS Sports not interested in stopping that, even if they knew. So this will be a free Kongor kill, and we are most likely going to see that Shrunken Head, though, finish on Cheese Helmet here, as he's probably going to go over to the Ancients and clean them out. So at least he might have a Shrunken Head going into this next fight, but you will be dealing with a Token Alive who it looks like was picked up on Magnus, who also has a Tablet of Command now, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of items just constantly adding up here on the Help One side. Portal Key on Keeper. No, that's actually solid, though.
Yeah, a little bit of initiation coming out.
There you go.
There's the Shrunken.
They got one of those. Well, okay, you got your Shrunken. Great. Now the thing is though, I mean, where's your damage? Again, obviously Moon Queen is still she can put out plenty of damage for sure, but
yeah,
is it
and then
going to be enough?
Yeah, I mean you're looking at a Barbed Armor too on this Pharaoh. Bounces come on him. He'll be reflect. She has low HP still. Moon Queen's ultimate might just be her own undoing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
very true.
It's kind of hard to say what she needs to do at this point. Just keep soaking up farm and hope that really the pencil sort of overextends and gets a little bit cocky here.
Well, this is going to be a start right here. Magnus taking a lot of burst damage. Tower will be denied. Not the biggest deal in the world, though. You do see the wall coming out from Bramble. Lava Surge going to be used by Magnus defensively, though, and he'll easily get away. So the Vine Wall coming out from Aravis, not the most effective right there. And again, when it's all said and done, too, Magnus did have a Token of Life, so that was something else that you were going to have to keep in mind also going for him right there. Tower's dead. Again, it got denied, but still it's dead. That's what matters. At least for Pencils. There is some items on the courier. What are they? Okay, Staff of the Master is going to be finished, I believe. That is for old Chipper. So he will have that Staff of the Master. And again, not only does that enhance or gives it a slow ability, but also increases the cast range of the Saw Blade Showdown. So another tool that he will have there. For his sake, and also, I don't even know if we mentioned this, but Portal Key, well, obviously Portal Key, that Shrunken Head actually picked up on Tempest as well now, on top of a Bound Eye even. So really helping him against that Keeper, the Force, and the wards and everything. Probably going to push into the base here.
Yeah, that Chipper Staff slow also, I believe, goes through Shrunken Head, so just another sort of CC ability for that Moon Queen.
Yeah, that's very true. kind of like that frost, or like a Frosto skull. Almost.
Yeah, basically.
Are we gonna see? Oh no, Magnus actually gets moonbeamed right there. He thought he was being sneaky.
Oh.
But Sweet Pro just kind of arcs that again. He does have that token of life. He's not really that hero that's in the front line, so you kind of maybe wonder about that a little bit, if he was the best investment for the token.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess they could put it on a chipper. I mean, they figure he's going to be jumping in there. Maybe he'll initiate the fight with the blink stun, have the follow-up happen, try to get out of the fight, and then blink back into that ulti. So, yeah, maybe.
Pencils can afford to do this. So, in fact, here we go. Rupture going to be channeled. There goes Sprout jumping in. And look at Moonqueen dropping so quickly. Moonqueen will fall. Couldn't even activate the Shrunken Head. She does not have buyback. And that's where you go. That could be the game, honestly. Bramble's barely staying alive. He might be able to survive. No, he will not. The burst is too much. No death so far on the Hellborn side. They're going to get another pick right there. Hat-trick coming out for Relo. Playing that chipper. Now the tower push happening. So Moonqueen is down for another 40 seconds here. Keeper of the Forest does still have his root, by the way. Not really finding the time, though, to use it looks like. So they're going to clear up the creep wave. This will definitely be a set of racks right here. And, yeah, we do see GG's being called. I think that's a safe decision. I mean, I could see them trying to stick in there at least one more fight, maybe have Moonqueen resurrect, give it one more chance. But, yeah, it was clearly Pencils was just getting so much momentum there. And it was going to be a hard train to stop, so.
I'm not really a fan of the early CC always, but that was a game where it's like, even if they did keep sticking it out, I didn't feel like they had the damage, once again, to kill anybody on Hellborn. So it's like, yeah, they could stick it out, but they would still just sort of be, getting winded down in that fight anyway. So
yeah, in a case where you're up 1-0, you go into game 2, you pick a hero like Bramble, very deep at them, and I think you actually said it. You said it the best when you were talking about TTE Esports. That they're not a team. I mean, you got your complexity, your trademark esports. Let's be honest. Like, if they were running a strategy like that, maybe you assume like, okay, this is a little bit of their play style, but. TTE Esports does seem like the more of that mid-game, more of an aggressive team themselves, and that was nowhere near an aggressive lineup whatsoever. So you kind of wonder what the comfort factor was there for them too. Maybe not ultimately there, but again, talk about just a completely changing game 2 as well from Pencils. It was kind of the opposite for them, how their lineup might not have gone for their play style in game number 1, but all of a sudden game 2 they picked an insanely aggressive lineup, and well, it worked wonders for them. So
yeah. Brilliantly played, and we're going the distance now, eh?
Yeah, that's always fun, as we say here on Honcast. And actually, I want to get your thought on this too. Honestly, it seems like we're seeing more of these, not only newer teams come up, but new teams with aggressive strategies. Obviously, I'm referring even to One Trick Pony most recently. They've been running really aggressive themselves. It seems like we're seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah, maybe OTP started the ball rolling on that.
That's true.
You were seeing a little, mana up lanes and stuff before. I saw TTS, their new roster, being to do the mana up tri lane a lot, send the Hammerstorm long lane against the, more fragile agility carries early on. But I don't know. It's a new trend, and I like it.
Exactly. That's the big thing. It's awesome to see. That's what I'm getting at. So, anyways, we are going to take a short break here once again. But, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going the distance, as you put it, Emperor. We got game number 3 coming up here. So stay tuned. This is the GSL North American European qualifiers. Which team ultimately is going to get that trip to Thailand and then compete for a $60,000 prize pool? So much is on the line. This is just the round of 16 here today. Game 3 coming up next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.